Welcome back everyone, and it's time to go balls deep! Today we are doing a basic video regarding all the sorcerers in the Tokyo Jujutsu High School. Right now in the manga, we know there are two prefectures and there may be more in the future. These two schools are called the Tokyo Jujutsu High School and the Kyoto Prefectural Jujutsu High School. The anime is currently introducing all the students and their unique powers, but we won't be covering any characters that have not revealed their techniques yet in the manga, such as the third year student Hakari or Atsuya, or even the other staff members. However, you guys, yes, you in our Anime Balls Deep community, you have been requesting for us to cover all the characters so that you can enjoy the arc a lot more and understand the power scaling of Jujutsu Kaisen a bit better. Now, I'm not promising that we will go into super detailed step by step explaining every tidbit of information, but this will give you a basic understanding of everything that you need to know in terms of the characters' backstory and their techniques. And yes, I will be voicing this video with my best friend Yusuf, and I still don't understand why you guys still think we are the same person. I don't know how people manage to confuse us even though we have different emoji to represent us. Anyway, we cover Jujutsu Kaisen on a weekly basis and plan on doing the Kyoto Prefecture soon as well. So if you end up enjoying the video, I humbly ask for you to suggest topics in the comment section, join our community by hitting the notification bell and like the video, and if we get at least 10,000 likes, we will definitely continue to do it. Okay, so before we get into each of the shamans in Jujutsu High Tokyo, we need to quickly go over the structure of the academy. Jujutsu High is pretty much the base of operation for all shamans, where not only training but extensive operation and decisions against curses are made. All shamans that go through the school are registered and added to a database. The school is also managed and controlled by members of Jujutsu Higher Up, which we are planning to cover in a future video. But in Japan, the school itself is split into two educational institutions: Tokyo Metropolitan Curse Technical College and Kyoto Magic Technical College. And in each of these schools, there is a principal, a couple of teachers, and then staff members who help around with various non-combatant tasks. Then finally, the actual students, separated in year 1, year 2, and then year 3. But regardless of the year groups of being a teacher or student, the level of the Jujutsu ability is not necessarily determined by these ranks. A student can be stronger than a teacher, and a year 2 student can be stronger than a year 3. The strength of a shaman is determined by their grade, where special grade is the strongest, grade 1 is the second strongest, and it goes all the way down to the weakest, to being grade 4. But that, hopefully you guys understood the structure. Now we are going to start with the first year students. Thank you, Yusuf, for the basic understanding of the schools. So now let's continue with the first year students. The first year students of Tokyo School District are Yuji, Itadori, Megumi, and Nobara Kugasaki. So let's start with the main character, Yuji. Just like every shonen protagonist or hero, Yuji is someone who cares for everybody, and he ponders on the philosophy of life quite often, similar to his bitter rival Mahito, who we covered recently. Make sure to check out our JJK playlist in the pinned comment to binge watch our videos as we covered Mahito recently. Now, Yuji questions himself on his friendships and what it means to value one life over another, despite how shallow his connections may be. He self-reflects a lot, and Yuji Itadori has come to the conclusion that one of his primary goals in life is to ensure that others receive a fair death. He has the will to sacrifice himself for others, and this ideology due to his grandfather's last words to him before he died, in which he told Itadori to make sure you are surrounded by others when you pass away, unlike me. His grandfather also told him that he is very talented and naturally strong, unlike other weaker humans, so he should help them out. Now, Itadori sees his grandfather as one of the biggest influences in his life, as he raised him and he didn't know much about his own parents, so his final words became a constant reminder to him as it hit him pretty hard emotionally. These events led him to becoming Sukuna's
Sukuna's vessel because when Megumi was about to be killed by a curse, Yuji swallowed Sukuna's finger in order to exercise it and save him, despite just meeting Megumi for the first time. However, before becoming Sukuna's vessel and gaining this massive amount of curse energy due to having literally the king of curses inside him, Yuji Itadori was already a very talented and strong individual. The Sukuna powers have just enhanced it to a new degree. Yuji was famous for his superhuman physical abilities, earning him the nickname the Tiger of the West Junior High, before even signing up to be a sorcerer. Like, one of his feats is running 50 meters in only 3 seconds, which would make him even faster than Usain Bolt or any athlete you have ever heard of. He also destroyed concrete walls with just his bare fists, and Nobura Kugasaki was shocked as hell. On top of that, before cursed energy, he also threw a lead ball into a goalpost, forcing the metal to completely bend, and even recently he was able to throw several cars in succession with ease. Like, imagine picking up a whole car and yeeting it somewhere. That is ridiculously strong. As a vessel, he has the exceedingly rare ability to contain Sukuna's soul without any ill effects. Gojo said that this is a 1 in a million chance to happen. So this natural skill allows him to perceive the contours of the soul per se and lets him harm someone like Mahito. So if you have seen our Mahito video last week, you would know why Itadori is Mahito's natural counter because of this very power. I highly suggest for you to binge watch it after this video. As I said, it will be in the pinned comment. Gojo told us that some curse techniques and curse energy is partly inherited, but Itadori doesn't seem to have an innate talent as part of a clan per se. However, despite this, he has shown great proficiency with learning how to control curse energy better than others. As of this moment, Yuji uses cursed energy in combination with his martial arts skills and superhuman strength to reinforce his strikes, increasing their impact and allowing him to hurt curses. But in the latest manga chapters, Gojo said that maybe in the future he will be able to use Sukuna's powers and domain expansion. Currently, Itadori's power is basically hand-to-hand combat, and he specializes in Taido martial arts. Taido is a Japanese martial art in real life created in 1965 by Sekien Tsukimine. The word Taido means the way of the body. Taido has its roots in the traditional Okinawan karate. In Itadori's multiple fights, he has shown insane durability, more so than the average sorcerer where he can lose entire limbs but still push on, even if it was a special grade that delivered the blows to him. Itadori relies on making quick judgment and power blows. His attacks are named after the martial art he uses, so they are called knee release or manji kick, so you get the point. Unlike other sorcerers, he also possesses resistance to many different poison. This is due to being the host of Sukuna. Yuji will feel the pain from the poison, however, but he is largely unaffected. This ability was first demonstrated during his fight with Junpei when he could resist the poison from the moon dregs. The most powerful move Itadori has are called Divergent Fist and Black Flash. In chapter 20, Divergent Fist basically flows curse energy and makes a stronger second impact. Divergent Fist was often used initially, but after Yuji's fight with Todo at the Kyoto Sister School Goodwill event and Todo's critique of this said attack, he had to make a change. Now he basically uses Black Flash just like Todo or Mahito, and to save us time, since this specific curse techniques can be used by multiple sorcerers and anyone, let's explain it once and then you just have to apply this explanation to the others so we don't repeat ourselves in this video. Black Flash is the ability to significantly increase the strength of any given attack you fire off, and this is achieved as the result of an increased flow of curse energy hitting your enemy at the fraction of a second the original attack did initially. So to basically interpret this technique, the second hit or attack is a critical hit you see in RPG games or Pokemon game, and it fires off what you could consider a second attack almost instantly after the first, and that second attack is 2.5 times stronger than a normal attack that you performed first. So this doesn't have to be a specific type of attack, as Yuji uses it for his punches, while Nobara, she used it for her curse technique. In Mahito's case, he uses it just like Yuji in the force of his fist, as we see in chapter 126. Currently, Yuji is capable of using Black Flash 4 times in a row and has performed it a total of 8 times. By the time he had a rematch with Mahito during the Shibuya incident, Yuji managed to learn how to use Black Flash almost at will, and his proficiency has increased to insane levels. And lastly, his final power, as you saw in the Jujutsu Kaisen anime, Yuji has an unnamed binding vow with Sukuna. The vow falls under two conditions. Yuji would allow Sukuna to take over his body for 1 full minute when the cursed spirit would chant Enchain. And number 2, the condition is that Yuji would forget about the agreement.
That moves us on to Megumi Fushiguro, the second member to Itadori's 3-man team, along with pretty much being the second protagonist of the series. We were introduced to the concept of curses, curse energies, and the actual Jujutsu High through our homeboy Fushiguro. So a lot of us feels that he plays an important part to the story. Apart from being a first year student at the Jujutsu High, he is a descendant of the Zenin family. Now we are planning to cover the Zenin family in greater detail later on. If you want that, then make sure you smash that like button. But to put it briefly, the Zenin family, who like the Gojo family and the Kamo clan, are the elite 3 Jujutsu family lines and hold considerable authority and power within the Jujutsu community. These 3 clans also hold super S-class curse techniques which can only be passed within their bloodline. Although a quick note is that not everyone within the family can get these special techniques, and Megumi was one of the luckiest as he inherited the clan's strongest curse ability, the 10 Shadow technique. But unlike the other members of the Zenin clan, he wasn't exactly raised within their household. Rather, his father Toge was a unique and mysterious figure and did his own thing outside of the clan. In many aspects, Megumi's father didn't care much for the clan, rather ended taking pride in his own ability. And when Toge found out he was having a baby, he gave the name Megumi before even finding out the gender. Oh, and if you guys didn't know, Megumi is usually given to females and it has the meaning of blessing. But when Megumi was in elementary school, his dad had remarried and changed his family name to his wife's name, Fushiguro. From this marriage, Megumi also found himself a stepsister, Sumiki Fushiguro, who he ended up being quite close to. But sadly, when their parents had died, Satoru Gojo had stepped in and had the Jujutsu Kaisen school support Megumi and his sister instead of sending Megumi to the Zenin clan, which would have possibly even separated the siblings, along with Megumi being used in a negative light by the Zenin clan. And just a quick note, before Megumi was taken in by Gojo, it was revealed that Megumi was actually sold off to the Zenin family by his father. Either way, things worked out for the best as Megumi got to be mentored by Satoru freaking Gojo. Now coincidentally, around this time, Megumi's sister had also been cursed, falling into a coma. And now while our boy appears pretty firm and objectively driven, Megumi wishes to help protect people he sees as good or kind. Megumi sees the world as unfair, and in order to ensure that kind people are given more chances to live, he believes that a shaman should be used as a tool to do so. Although in no way he sees himself as a hero, claiming it's his selfish and irrational desires that drives him to feel this way. This belief is actually what saved Yuji Itadori from instant execution, as Megumi believed he was a good person worth saving. Even when Sukuna was about to murder him, he refused to regret the choice he made. Although when it comes down to criminals and murderers, he can be seen as quite callous, as he believes that they are the scums of the earth not worth saving. But with that, guys, let's finally get into Megumi's abilities. As I mentioned earlier, he has inherited a family technique which allows him to use shadows to create shikigamis. And if you guys don't know what shikigamis are, well, they're pretty much just ghosts or familiars which can be summoned to serve their masters. Megumi is capable of using this technique to process 10 shikigamis at once, and while creating these numerous advanced shikigamis, he is also able to store objects and himself within these shadows. This technique is so OP that Megumi entered into the college as a grade 2 shaman right off the bat. Many of the high up shamans even recognize the high level of potential he has. In fact, so did Sukuna. Yes, the king of curses noted that Megumi's ability to use hand-to-hand combat puts him on another level than compared to the other shikigami users he's seen in his past. Along with that, according to Satoru Gojo's opinion, Megumi has even greater potential and skill than Yuji Itadori. And although Megumi does not possess as much strength as Itadori, he still has a high level of physical proficiency, as shown when he beat up half the punks in his region when he was still at junior high. So our boy is literally able to entrap his opponents using not only his shikigamis but also his physical attacks. But in the terms of actual combat abilities, because Megumi's technique requires him to use both of his hands to summon shikigamis, it's more difficult for him to wield weapons as a result. But since he started training with Maki Zenin, he began learning how to use polearms and other weapons, improving his overall offense. Along with that, Megumi being able to quickly spot different weaknesses within his opponents also shows his high level of tactical intelligence. And to top it off, he's also capable of determining curse techniques his adversaries might have, just like when him and Yuji fought against Awasaka. Now I ain't going to go go into Megumi's curse techniques in detail, but his main Shikigami which he mastered are his divine dogs, and Nue his owl-like Shikigami, but there are 8 others which we will go into more depth later on.
Thanks Yusuf once again, but next up is Nobara Kugasaki, and I must say she is one of the best shonen female written characters in recent time. Kugasaki is the opposite of what you may find from a female character who would typically be in a shonen. Her attitude and goal is meant to represent the opposite of the stereotypes in which the author portrays her to be a woman that is confident in her own ideals, goals and power. Nobura Kugasaki is a very grounded person in reality, as she even gives the protagonist Yuji her honest opinion on what they are doing as sorcerers after they had killed cursed wombs that were partly human in chapter 63. She accepts the reality that as a sorcerer she doesn't really have a problem that the enemy has died. This is because there are only so many people that they can save, as they are not superheroes but humans themselves as well. She doesn't want Yuji to tell her what's right or wrong, because others have not experienced what she has, so they wouldn't understand. She even acknowledges that this may be a cold way of thinking, however admires that Yuji Itadori is the opposite of her. Nobura Kugasaki portrays the philosophy that a woman doesn't have to fall into one stereotypical ideal of being this pretty fan service woman in lewd clothing or being insecure that we typically see. Even in chapter 63, after receiving a scar in battle that could affect her beauty, which she herself admitted that she cares about a lot and she wants to be a model, she still focuses on the human that they had saved in the car. Even if we look at the Goodwill event arc, she makes it clear that her life is not a job and that she gets to decide what is fair and what is not. She doesn't dwell on things she cannot control and instead focuses on what she can control and progress forward from there. Nobura Kugasaki is very complex and showcases a strong and courageous personality to the point of going even into selfless death-defying situations for the good of humanity, like when she went up against Mahito in chapter 124. Her ideology is basically that she should be able to overcome everything in her life with her own self-love and her own personal strength that she strives for. In the anime at episode 3, after saving a boy, Nobura makes a comment about coming to the jutsu school because it was the only way she could move to Tokyo. Yuji asked her, "You'd risk your life for that?" And she replies, "Sure, it's to stay true to myself and my dreams." This proves once again that her character is honest to her feelings and beliefs, since what happened to her best friend in childhood, it destroyed her view of the world. She has a strong belief in being true to herself, and she saw a life in the big city, becoming a model and seeing the best tourist sites. Kugasaki seems to want these desires due to her very childhood. She was born with the ability to see curses and was trained to fight them from a young age, but she had a best friend that was treated like shit for being different from another city. In her slight backstory that we know, we learn her insecurities and beliefs stem from her relationship with 2 best friends and an old friend specifically from her hometown who moved to the city. They became best friends, but Sayori experienced prejudice just because she was from Tokyo. She was ostracized from the community and was accused of acting special due to her background, right? So these were all judgmental assumptions that Nobura witnessed to be false, as she was nothing but a good person in her eyes. She hopes to see her once again to start a bakery shop like they promised in their childhood. Now in chapter 125, we also learn that Nobura was a black sheep of her village. She didn't like the villages or people because of how small-minded it was. It's harder to be a stranger in the town than to make actual real friends. However, she did make 2 friends that would change her life and she wants to see again, as I mentioned. So I will cover my analysis and complete backstory in another detailed video for the future, because I really want to detail why I love her character so much. So I do hope that you press the notification button on the channel if you're looking forward to that. But anyway, let's cover her powers. Nobara Kugasaki is a grade 3 sorcerer, but she has showcased above average skill when it comes to being a Jujutsu sorcerer itself. Her abilities were enough to be recognized by Todo and have him recommend to be promoted to a grade 1 sorcerer just like Nanami. The manga has told us that she has enhanced pain tolerance compared to a normal person in her fight against Iso, for example, and his curse technique. She was able to handle the suffering of their corrosion power, and this power allows Iso and his brothers to decay anyone who has come in contact with their blood. Iso's blood is poisonous, but Kugasaki was able to handle it with ease. In fact, she counters it by putting her own nails inside her own arm and wrist to attack her opponents with her resonance power. So what is resonance? Well, Nobura's curse technique is called Straw Doll. This is an innate technique technique which allows her to use a straw doll to attack the opponent from a distance. She can also use charm weapons to perform her technique, and she does this by shooting the nails from distance when hitting them with her hammer. Upon hitting a curse, her cursed energy surrounds and enlarges around the nails, exercising it. Resonance is a curse technique which, by using a straw doll and part of the curse, she links the doll to the curse, and anything the doll experiences, the curse will too. So think about a voodoo doll you have seen in other media and movies. Is basically the same concept. Hairpin is also another power that she has. She basically scatters nails onto solid objects such as trees and destroys the object to control the environment. She basically uses this power on nails by imbuing curse energy into them and able to throw them at her target at a high speed. She uses the nails in many different strategies since she is very intelligent at making them. In chapter 123, she laid a trap for Mahito by manipulating all the other pins to become upright by vibrating one of them with force. She then uses resonance and can affect his soul, just like Itadori. Now obviously you probably have come to the conclusion to perform these techniques with accuracy and strength, it means that she has a lot of intellect and mastery over the said weapons. Her choice is a hammer in serious fights and a rubber mallet to attack normal humans so that she doesn't end up killing them. Also, just like Itadori, she can use the black flash technique, and she has only performed this once, however.
Now coming to the most kawaii supporting character, we have Panda. I know you guys must be thinking, that was this cute little panda. Is he actually a real talking panda? No! Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. Panda is not actually a panda.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it.
This is the worst top anime betrayals in 2020, god damn it! But seriously guys, Panda is not an animal. In fact, he's not really even a living creature per se, if you think about it. In reality, Panda is an abrupt, mutated, cursed corpse that was created by Principal Masamichi Yaga. And Panda, like Maki, was also present as a protagonist in the prequel series to JJK, as he was in Maki's 3-man team, which later became a 4-man team. But this means that Panda is in the same second year group as them. Now Panda is generally a chill dude with a good sense of humor, although when he was a little baby, he actually spoke more like an AI. I know, how much more cuter can this guy get? But as time passed by, he started to develop his own personality. Although Panda does spend a majority of his time with humans, he still sees them as strange creatures and doesn't really aspire to be like them. However, he does still put some respect on them as a species. But overall, Panda's personality is very playful, as he is generally a light-hearted character and is so chill that even during his fight with Machimadu, he was cracking jokes and playing around. Now after this fight, Panda's empathy really shined through as he sympathized with Kokichi Muta and made a promise to visit his actual body. But when it does come to strengths, Panda is actually one of the most advanced, abrupt, mutated, cursed corpse around, as he is a grade 2 shaman with a natural understanding of Jujutsu. Panda's physical ability are so sick, he is able to exercise curses on his strength alone. Yes guys, he can exercise curses with a simple blow. Panda has also proven to be a very powerful puncher to the point of being able to stun even Aoi Dodo, who is an exceptionally durable fighter. Yeah, and I mean no joke bro, Panda will smash your face. Mr. Panda is so strong, he flexes on the rest of them with his effortless ability to carry his companions on his back and even run straight through a wall, which actually brings us to his physiology. Yes, you should have guessed it, that due to his size and sturdiness of his body, Panda is naturally very physically strong. Additionally, his body is extremely durable and he's capable of using Jujutsu protection to reinforce it as well. But even if you do somehow manage to deal some damage to him, you won't be able to destroy him completely unless you smash up all his cores of curse energy that acts as his heart. Yes, and I said all, meaning there are multiple cores within him. That's because Panda shares his body with his spiritual siblings. There actually exists 3 cores within Panda's body: the balance type Panda, which is his own core and his neutral state, then the power type gorilla form, who is his brother, and the 3rd core, which is yet to be revealed, and apparently that core is meant to be his sisters. If any of these cores are damaged, then Panda is unable to shift into that form until it recovers. But from that, Panda is also incredibly intelligent, which allows him to always be one step ahead of his adversaries, as using his cursed energy, he can fake the location of these cores, making it near impossible to kill him.
Of course!
Now we turn to our most favorite thick sexy glasses wearing homegirl, Maki Zenin.
God damn!
a major supporting character in JJK and another protagonist in the prequel series. And as I mentioned with Panda, she's also a second year in the Tokyo branch. And although Maki comes from a history of shamans in the Zenin family, she was born without any cursed energy, and because of this she was rejected by her family, which led to her life of trying to make a name for herself, leaving the clan behind. Yes, sadly for her entire life, she has been mistreated and put down for being a woman and a non-shaman by the clan. However, this fueled her to prove her family wrong, where she continues to get stronger as she studies to become a strong shaman despite her lacking cursed energy. However, as a trade-off for her low cursed energy, Maki was born with extraordinary physical capabilities that would eventually grow into superhuman strength and speed. This was referred to some sort of blessing in a way, called heavenly restriction. Maki's actual abilities far exceed that of her grade 4 shaman ranking. She can exercise a grade 2 curse with ease. Although due to the lack of curse energy, she requires wearing glasses imbued with curse energy that allows her to see the curses, along with her carrying high grade tools to exercise the curse spirits. In fact, Maki is actually a master weapon specialist and can effortlessly wield almost any curse tool. However, her go-to weapon in battle is a spear, but she can easily switch between a number of weapons during a fight. To top things off, as she has shown us during the Goodwill event, she can also integrate martial arts like Aikido in close range combat. This is what allows Maki to act as a shaman despite not having enough cursed energy to truly be considered one. Obviously, along with her superhuman abilities, which comes in at second only to Yuji within the Tokyo High. And I mean it guys, I'm not exaggerating when I say Maki is strong as heck. She was easily able to knock out Todo, a student who is known for his strength and durability, by smashing his face with a baseball. Along with all of that, due to her growing up in a family of shamans, Maki was also given a good insight into all sides of the Jujutsu world. Similar to Panda, she has the ability to be one step ahead of her opponents while being able to read the next move based on their personalities. She even displayed this characteristic when she came up with the strategy to counter Todo's one-foot mind and his use of brute strength. And the last thing I want to point out is that even though Maki is very tough on her fellow classmates during training, she is respected by all of the students at Tokyo Jujutsu High. Maki is a natural leader as shown on missions. She is always focused on what needs to be done and does it successfully as a shaman. She is a great team player and can follow orders. Maki is very professional and is able to set aside her emotions, such as when certain situation calls for her to even work alongside family, which to be honest she does have a lot of gripes with.
Next up we have Inumaki Toge, and his powers are pretty amazing but explains why he doesn't speak much. Toge Inumaki is featured quite a lot in the prequel of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is canon by the way, and to anyone that interacts with him, he comes across quiet and distant. However, passing through these first impressions of Toge, he's actually very insightful and caring. The reason he doesn't speak is because he's trying to prevent accidentally cursing someone with his enchanted words technique. He possesses the power called cursed speech. This is the snake and fang seal of the Inumaki clan on his tongue and around both sides of his mouth. As a member of the Inumaki clan, Toge is a respected semi-grade 1 sorcerer next to Todo. So Toge is considered to be amongst the strongest and most respected Jujutsu students outside of Yuuta and Hakari. This gives him the ability to infuse his powers with his cursed energy to improve the spirit of the commands he will make. These commands will force the person who hears it to obey. However, there are some drawbacks. This is because the more force and cursed energy put into the command, the more recoil and stress it will cause on his body. This recoil will go even further if the person he's trying to command has more cursed energy than himself. This recoil could be sore throats, coughing up blood, and an inability to speak. This is why his character carries around cough syrup or medicine so that he can battle these symptoms rapidly. This power is amazing against weak curses that are not special grade, because essentially they will not be able to figure out what his power actually is and how to counter it. Communication devices and voice amplifiers such as cell phones and bullhorns do not disrupt Toge's technique at all, allowing him to project his words and their effects over a longer distance if the situation requires it. However, as I hinted towards earlier, cursed speech's drawback is its volatility. It prevents Inumaki Toge from speaking to others, as it can be very dangerous. Imagine a frigging normal human being trying to talk to him. They would instantly die as they do not possess cursed energy at all to defend themselves or have reinforced bodies. Users of cursed speech limit their casual language to certain sage words that avoid triggering the cursed speech technique. Now, during fights against Toge Unomaki, Jujutsu sorcerers are able to protect themselves from cursed speech by manipulating the flow of cursed energy to the selection of their brain that controls air function, so they can stop hearing his words, right? So this allows them to prevent words and commands from this speech from being registered and executed. His caring nature comes across best when it's displayed in regards to Maki and Panda, as he considers them his best friends. Toge struggles with clear communication with someone unfamiliar with his disadvantage, but often his actions prove his good nature, right? Toge proved to Yuuta, for example, that he is a kind comrade who only wishes to look out for others. So due to his amazing curse technique, Toge understands that he wields a great power, and you know what that means.
With great power comes great responsibility.
So his powers can be broken down in different words. For example, he has burst, which causes his target to explode. He has twist, which forces a curse to twist to the point of complete disfigurement. He has get crushed, which is self-explanatory. He has fall down under, which creates a small field of intensely heavy gravity that crushes the target until they violently send underground. He has don't move or stop, completely immobilizing his target or any of their attacks. He has sleep, which instantly, whoever hears this, they go into a deep sleep, which is absolutely ridiculous. He can even do this over the phone. He has return, which can forcibly dispel a shikigami. He has run away, which forces Inomaki's target to flee the area. And he also finally has blast away, which is a powerful command that creates an explosion impact of a great concussive force strong enough to send even a special grade curse crashing up the side of a temple. He is ridiculously strong. Alright, now I'm passing it back to Yusuf.
So now let's move on to Yuuta Okotsu, who was featured as the main protagonist in the prequel series to JJK in the Tokyo Metropolitan Curse Technical School manga, which focuses around his issues of being haunted by his childhood sweetheart Rika. We planted another video going over his prequel, so make sure to stay around and hit that notification button. But pretty much Yuuta accidentally curses his childhood best friend and lover Rika. What happened was that Rika kind of proposed to Yuuta and promised to marry him when they grow up. However, after this proposal, she is killed in a car accident. Due to this massive grief and heartbreak to Yuuta, he ends up cursing her as he could not accept her death based on his fears of losing her. I know this is pretty stupid of the kid, but the boy was in love, and because Yuuta is a distant relative of the Gojo, he possesses immense talent for Jujutsu, so you guys can only imagine how powerful that curse must have been. Due to that curse, Rika's spirit didn't move on, but instead manifested as a special grade monstrous entity with the will to protect Yuuta no matter what. Unable to control Rika's immense power, Yuuta is helpless to stop the bloodshed caused by his curse. Yuuta wishes to die in complete isolation so no one else can get hurt, but Gojo offers him a different path where Yuuta ends up being able to work with Rika to fight other cursed spirits and be a strong shaman. But by the end of the prequel, after Yuta's realization of him being the one who cursed Rika and not the other way around, he was finally able to let her go. But regardless of she being there or not, when it comes down to moveset, well, there is not much to say apart from the fact that Yuta's cursed power is an endless mass of cursed energy that can be shaped at will. In fact, it is known that Yuuta can even replicate other cursed techniques like he did with Toge's cursed speech. And even though we haven't seen Yuuta in action in the current series, it is noted that he managed to single-handedly dominate all of the Kyoto students in the 2017 Goodwill event. So just imagine how OP this dude is. And not to mention, he is said to be the next Gojo. So when he is reintroduced in the manga, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be mind-blowing. So now moving on to the teachers. To start them off, we have the principal of the Jujutsu High, Masamichi Yaga. Damn, his name sounds so epic, and trust me, he is. Our head sensei is a grade 1 sorcerer, and back in the days before he was principal, Masamichi used to be a teacher just like Gojo. In fact, our man is so legendary, his 3-man squad consisted of none other than Satoru Gojo himself before he was OP, along with Shoko Eri and their friend Suguro Geto, who later defects the school to become a curse user. And this was due to a failed mission set upon Gojo and Geto by Masamichi himself. Whilst Gojo grew from this failure into an overpowered kami-like being, Geto fell into depression and was pushed into a belief that ordinary humans aren't worth saving, and that the real goal should be to push a world with only humans that can use curse energy to defend themselves. This very event of Masamichi's student going rogue really took its toll on him, and the next time we see him is when he accepts accepts Itadori into Jujutsu High, where he only wants people who have strong conviction and aren't going to bend what they want to do. We see that this very mindset is from his tragic experience and history, which changed his views on people, where he believed that Geto wasn't a strong person with his ideals, and that actually led to a lot of deaths. Masamichi wants to avoid another Geto from happening. The man has PTSD, who can blame him, to be honest? But with that, let's get right into what he can do. Masamichi has the ability of Cursed Corpse. By putting his curse into a doll, he is able to give it life and control it freely. However, some of his dolls, due to mutation, do have free will, as we saw with Panda. And a quick fun fact is that Masamichi actually makes all of these dolls with his hands, and he actually likes to make them cute. Overall, Masamichi is very proud of his position and likes those with very strong conviction, and he's pretty much the perfect fit for being the principal of Jujutsu High Tokyo.
Okay, so now the next teacher in Tokyo Jujutsu High is of course Satoru Gojo, the #1 man I simp for in this show. So you guys probably already know who he is and what his powers and backstory may be, since we already made a separate video on him. You can't just explain everything about Gojo in a video like this one, although I will talk about him briefly. If you want to learn more, then you can go check out our video called Who is Satoru Gojo for a better explanation on his powers. So Satoru Gojo is a special grade shaman who is a teacher at the school of Tokyo. I say special grade, but Gojo is basically the strongest character and shaman in the Jujutsu Kaisen universe. He is even strong enough to confidently say that he can defeat the King of Curses Sukuna even if he had all his 20 fingers. Gojo is a complicated dude. He's always playful towards his students and colleagues, and even higher ups, as we saw in episode 8 of the anime, where Bossman Gojo showed the Kyoto High School principal who was the real boss around here by making him wait 2 hours and laid down his agenda towards him. Gojo teaches first year students because he wants to change the Jujutsu world and get rid of the old conservative views from the roots of the organization. Gojo doesn't want the world relying on him. He wants the new generation to become as strong as him so that the future can have a better tomorrow. Gojo has said that he can kill all the higher ups if he wants to and cause a revolution in the Jujutsu Kaisen world. However, he understands that the changes he wants to instill will never happen without the change in the perspective of the younger generation. That is why Gojo has become a teacher in the first place. Now, to go over Gojo's abilities and curse techniques, Gojo has an immense amount of curse energy and monstrous physical strength. If you want an example of how broken his physical strength is, then look no further than the Jogo fight from episode 7. Like, goddamn, he broke this guy's back even though he's worth 8 to 9 fingers of sukuna, and he wasn't even breaking a sweat. He went and got Itadori, came back to the fight, and before Jogo even noticed. It's insane. Gojo can also use domain expansion multiple times a day, and on top of that, he has such a meticulous curse control that he can even just create it for 1 second. Gojo's limitless technique is his craziest ability. This technique, derived from Gojo's clan family, allows him to precisely manipulate space at an atomic level, resulting in multiple results and techniques within the overall ability. One of the forms of the limitless is called infinity. Infinity is known as the ability to stop, but it's basically slowing the object down to a point where it seems like it's stopped. That's how broken he is. He can control time and space. Gojo also has S-tier defensive abilities such as curtains. With curtains, Gojo creates a barrier that surrounds a certain area. The barrier seals off the area from the other people or specific people wanting to get in. His domain expansion is called Unlimited Void, and he creates a space inside the limitless. This causes the actions of the opponent taken in life to be forced upon indefinitely. The person inside Unlimited Void can see and feel everything, but also nothing at the same time. The sensory overload is so immense that the person just can't act and they basically die. Gojo also possesses the 6 eyes from his family clan, and this is what is believed to allow him to have such meticulous control over his limitless. Now, this is just a basic understanding of his powers. As I said, if you want complete detail, watch the video being displayed to you right now from the playlist in the pinned comment. Alright, finally, it's time for Kento Nanami, and he is one of my favorite characters. I love this dude. Even in the anime, he has amazing voice actor, and you just saw him in episode 9, and he's gonna face off against Mahito, right? Well, Nanami has a very distinct look to other sorcerers, as he wears a suit and all around just a classy vibe to him. He is a very intelligent man who is also reserved. He comes off as someone who takes his work seriously. To him, the only reason he is a Jujutsu sorcerer in the first place is because it seems less stupid than doing regular jobs. All in all, Nanami is the exact opposite of Gojo. While Gojo loves to play around and act like a kid, Nanami Nanami is always the adult in every room. Nanami knows how dangerous the task of being a sorcerer is. He is a kind man overall on the interior, and he treats Yuji like a kid because he doesn't want to see him let go of his youth just for sorcery. He wants him to have a normal life and be happy just for the momentary time that he can. Now let's go over Nanami's history. Nanami went to the Jujutsu College, and in his first year, he teamed up with Yu Haibara in order to back up Geto and Gojo at Okinawa. A year after this, Nanami was with Yu on a mission. However, the mission became more difficult than they had realized. After the mission, we see Nanami in the morgue with Geto examining Yu's dead body. So after graduating, Nanami decided to quit being a sorcerer because it was a pain to him, and he started to work as a salaryman. He had a whole Shikamaru moment saying, you know, this shit boring, fam. So originally, as an office worker, Nanami left his old career because he never felt truly appreciated, and his work had no impact to anyone. On the other side, his service to those as a sorcerer had garnered small bits of appreciation from innocent people. He felt more of a difference to the world, helping those in need. This was more than enough to sway him back to being a sorcerer and allows him to live a life without regrets. So now let's talk about Nanami's curse techniques and his powers. Nanami is a grade 1 Jujutsu sorcerer. He is considered to be one of the top class sorcerers at the school. He is respected by the other high level sorcerers and even Gojo himself. Even Mahito considered Nanami to be far stronger than your average Jujutsu sorcerer, and indirectly he thanked him because Mahito is a bit immature and Nanami helped him understand himself a bit better. Nanami uses a blunt sword in battle. He combines his curse technique to cut through anything, including a blocking opponent that is using curse energy for defense. It wouldn't work against him because Nanami has great reserves of curse energy in combination of being able to control it with great efficiency. During his fight with Mahito, he used his collapse maneuver, which let him use his curse technique to an even greater level. Nanami also uses Black Flash. Now, as I explained in the start of the video, the same logic applies to anyone that uses this power. Before Yuji's fight with Hanami, Nanami was the record holder for the most consecutive Black Flashes in a row, fam. Nanami's next ability is Binding Vows. He uses over time to do a binding vow with himself, and he then limits the amount of curse energy he can utilize during the time he is officially on clock working for Jujutsu High. Once he goes above his normal shift, overtime hours begin. His cursed energy swells to a great degree and grants him a boost in strength. Nanami's most common binding vow is called showing one's cards. Although this is used by many Jujutsu users, Nanami is an expert at it. Nanami's innate technique is called Ratio and Collapse. Ratio can divide his target with 10 lines and forcibly create a weak spot at the ratio point of 7 to 3. The target's lines don't have to match up with the target's length or wingspan. So basically, Nanami can freely choose which part to divide, including the subject's head, torso, arms, and legs. This technique can also be used on non-living things, and which allows him to fight and attack basically people that are stronger than him and take them on, because he can critically hit them all the time. Nanami's next technique is Collapse. It is an expanded curse technique that creates a large weak point in the surrounding environment. This allows Nanami to destroy it with a single blow. He first used this technique after unleashing both his binding vow in order to destroy the underground tunnel and trap Mahito. Alright Yusuf, I'm passing it back to you.
With that, we come to our next teacher, Atsuya Kusakabe, another grade 1 shaman. We haven't seen much of him, not even his curse techniques. Really, all we do know about him is what we see of him in chapter 114, when he explains that he protects himself at all costs and is fairly cowardly as he kept on coming up with excuses to avoid fighting special great spirits. However, when confronted, we see him pull out his sword, and to be honest, we only saw him pull off one single attack called New Shadow Style Bato Sword Drawing, which just slashes the enemies. But before they could keep fighting, however, Sukuna interrupts them and tells them not to move. The last time we see Kusakabe is when he actually makes a tactical retreat from Sukuna after being told to leave. The next teacher up on the list is Takuma Ino, a grade 2 shaman that has the potential to become a grade 1 shaman very soon. He's always cheerful and looking to do his best in everything. Ino is a little different compared to the other shamans because he's a spiritual medium. By hiding his face, he's able to summon and use the abilities of the 4 auspicious beasts of the Chinese constellation. His first attack is called Kaichi, a horn attack that can home into a target, which is a reference to the goat-like creature Jay-Z or Hatay, which I cannot pronounce pronounce and I'm butchering for sure. But this mystical goat-like creature would use his horn to tell people if someone was guilty or innocent of a crime. Ino's second attack is called Reiki, where he summons water to surround his feet or hands. We haven't seen him use his other two attacks yet, however we know they are called Kirin and Ryo, where Kirin is a reference to the mythical hooved chimerical-like creature. I don't know if it's supposed to resemble a deer or a giraffe, but it does look like either one of them. And I'm sure Ryu is a representation of the mythical creature known as the dragon. Come on guys, I thought that one was pretty obvious. And the last teacher up on our list is none other than Shoko Eri. She's currently the doctor at Tokyo Jujutsu High. Shoko is a serious and gloomy person. She just wants to get the job done, you know. I don't really blame her. She also deals with corpse here and there. It can get pretty depressing if you ask me. And by the way guys, she's also probably alcoholic. I don't know, I just have to put that there. I'm sorry guys. But she still manages to get her daily banter as she's always poking fun at Gojo and her students. She is a very important part of Jujutsu High because of her ability, the reverse healing curse technique. Yes guys, the reverse curse technique is a variation of curse techniques that takes curse energy and turns it into a positive type of energy, and fundamentally being able to restore destroyed limbs and heal mild damages. It's pretty OP. I wish we could go deeper into this technique, but at this time we don't know a lot regarding it, so I'm gonna leave it for another video. But as I mentioned earlier, Shoko was also part of the three-man team with Gojo and Geto, hence why she's so close to Gojo, along with being close to Masamichi sensei. And with that, we pretty much covered everyone, I believe, from the Jujutsu High in Tokyo. If you left anyone out, please let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget that we are going to cover some of these characters in more detail later on. And if you guys have a favorite pick, then let us know in the comment section below. The next part to this video will be about the Kyoto High School. Make sure you smash that like button, ding that notification bell on, and with that, we will catch you guys till next time.